Hey friends, good to see you today. Our book of the week is called Caps for Sale. One thing I want to do before we read our story together today is I want to talk about making predictions. When we read a story, there's a cover on the front of our book. And usually, if it's a story that we're reading together, there is a picture on the front of the book as well. The front of the book is called the front cover of the book. So I want you to take a look at the front of this storybook. And I want you to use the picture to make a prediction about what you think the story might be about. The front of this cover is very interesting. I see one of the characters of the book here. He's sleeping in a tree. We don't usually sleep in trees, do we? And in the background, I can see that it looks like there is a little town and there are some fields. And if you look very closely behind the tree, you can see monkeys peeking out. So by looking at the front of this story, we can make a prediction of what we think the story might be about. What do you think this story might be about? If you're one of the friends from our classroom last year, you probably remember this story. Let's read the story. The story is called Caps for Sale. Caps for sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps. But he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and at the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the street, holding himself very straight so as not to upset the caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand up to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps at the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep, and he slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked in back of him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "Can you help shake your hands? Because I need to hold the book. I will wave one hand and you wave two, just like the peddler." "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "Can you help me? Let's stamp both of our feet and shout it together. You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." At last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. And all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. Look at all those caps. So the peddler picked up his caps and he put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps at the very top. And slowly, 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 he walked back to town calling, "Can you help me call it out? Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. So, boys and girls, was your prediction about the story right? When you looked at the front cover, did you think that the story would be about a peddler and maybe some monkeys? It's fun to make predictions when you look at the front covers of books. But my favorite part is reading the book. See you next time, boys and girls. Bye-bye. Enjoy the book of the week, Caps for Sale. You have lots of fun activities that I sent home with your families that you can do to go with Caps for Sale. All right, see you later.